So yesterday we'd spoken about Viktor Serbakov and about believing in yourself and how he had been told he was completely illiterate and he was no use at school and he would have to leave. And yet Viktor had a Mensa IQ of 161. 140 is meant to be entrance to Mensa. 161 is genius level. So it's amazing how you need to believe in yourself. So, on the other hand, though, there was a story of Catherine Lanigan. Although her childhood and her teens she was considered to be a gifted writer. In college, she entered the School of Journalism. During the school semester of the freshman year, she was recommended for a creative writing seminar, usually reserved for seniors, to be taught by the visiting professor from Harvard. When she wrote her first story, the professor called her into office to discuss her story. He was the quintessential English professor, horn-rimmed glasses, tweed coat, 6'6". He said, "Come in, Mrs. Lanigan, sit down." He took her manuscript, threw it across his desk and said, "Frankly, Mrs. Lanigan, your writing stinks." She was devastated. He said, "I've no idea how you've got into my class. You have no concept or plot or structure or characterization. There's no way you'll ever make a dime as a writer. And you are fortunate, young woman, because I have caught you at the crossroads in your life." Supposedly her saviour. "Your parents are spending all their money on your education and you need to change your major." Because it was too late in the semester for her to drop the course, he said, "I know you're coming to the class with a 4.0 and I know you've declared your bid to graduate summa cum laude, which is basically with the highest honours. I'll make a bargain with you. I'll get you through the class and I'll give you a B if you promise never to write again." Not seeing any other choice, she took that bargain. Later that night, she took her short story and a metal waste can and put it on top of her dorm, burned the manuscript and declared to the winter sky, "I vow I will never believe in my dreams ever again. I will only deal with reality." She then changed her major into education. For 14 years, Catherine didn't write, but one summer she was in San Antonio and she noticed a group of writers and journalists sitting around one of the tables of the pool of her hotel. Summing up her courage, she walked over to them and said, I want to know really admire what you do as journalists, seeking out news stories. My secret dream was to be a writer," she said. One of the other guys turned around and said, "Is that right? Because if you wanted to be a writer, you would have been a writer." Catherine replied, "I have it on good authority that I have no talent whatsoever." He asked who told her that, and she told him the story of the professor. He gave her his card and told him to call as if she had been writing. She said she wasn't going to write, to which he replied, "Oh, yes, you are." She thought about it, went home, wrote a book, and sent it to him. 3 months later, he called her and said that he liked it, and he sent it to his agent, who would call in half an hour. The agent did call and said, "Catherine, you are startlingly talented." Catherine signed a contract with the agency and within 3 weeks had 2 publishing companies bidding on her book. Since then, Catherine has published 33 books, including Romancing the Stone and Jewel in the Nile, both of which were made into blockbuster movies with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. Think about this for a moment. Catherine lost the first 14 years of what was to become a lucrative and creative writing career because she believed in a professor who said she couldn't write. Don't ever let someone else tell you you're not capable. With training, determination, and hard work, you will eventually do anything you set your mind to. Remember, your beliefs are a choice. So make the choice to believe in yourself no matter what else anyone else says. It is never too late. Never too late to start over, never too late to be happy. When you think about the logic of this, KFC, Colonel Sanders, Colonel Sanders was 67 years old, broke and penniless after retiring and getting a $105 paycheck every single week to live on once he had retired as a pensioner. And he decided at 67 years old to sell his grandmother or his mother's recipe for fried chicken. And because no one would take him up on it and they said he was crazy, get out of here, you idiot, you're just an old man, he decided to do it himself. And that is how the KFC empire came about. Determination, willpower. You should read up about it more. Google it. One of the most important common excuses people use to avoid risk of going for their dreams is, I'm too old, it's too late for me. Ray Kroc found McDonald's in his 60s. So there's no reason why you can't do that. I didn't start soon enough. Well, it's not true. Consider this. Julia Child, one of the most famous chefs in history, didn't even learn to cook until she was almost 40 and didn't launch the French Chef, the popular television show, and then went on to launch the French Chef, popular television show that would make her a household name until she was 51. Susan Boyle, the unknown 48-year-old amateur, where in the spring of 2009 she skyrocketed into international stage by belting out I Dream a Dream from Les Mis on Britain's Got Talent. Since then, she's recorded 5 albums and sold over 19 million copies, received 2 Grammy nominations, and amassed an estimated net worth of more than £22 million. Wow. 48-year-old. She was stony broke before then. She had that talent all the time. It never appeared out of nowhere. It was always with her. Here he is, Ray Kroc, after spending 17 years of his adult life as a paper cup salesman and approximately 17 peddling a machine that could make 5 milkshakes at once, when he met with the McDonald brothers, who owned a few great hamburger restaurants in California, and convinced them to let him help them franchise the operation on a national scale. 7 years later, Ray convinced them to sell out their shares and went on to become a billionaire. If you've not watched it, watch The Founder with Michael Keaton. It's all about Ray Kroc and his journey. It is an inspirational film, I'll tell you. Going from nothing to a billionaire. Elizabeth Jolley had her first novel published at the age of 56. In 1 year alone, she received 39 rejection letters, and she finally had 15 novels, 4 short story collections published to a great success. A no is just a yes waiting to happen. Doris Harrick was 89 in 1999 when she began walking the 3,200 miles between Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. to raise awareness for the issue of campaign finance reform. Granny D, as she became known, walked 10 miles a day on her journey, relying on the kindness of strangers for housing and meals, the 14 months that her walk took her. In 2004, at the age of 94, she even made a bid for the seat in the US Senate, making her one of the oldest candidates ever to run in a major public office. Anne Mary Robertson Moses, better known to the world as Grandma Moses, is one of the most biggest names in American folk art. Yet she didn't even pick up a brush until she was 76 years old. She painted for another 25 years, which was long enough to allow her to see her canvases she had originally sold for $3 sell for more than $10,000. Today, some of her paintings sell at auction for more than $100,000. In 2007, 95-year-old Nola graduated from Fort Hays State University in Kansas with a degree in history, making her the oldest person to graduate in a college degree, breaking the record according to Guinness Book of World Records. Which had previously belonged to Marzella, who had received a journalism degree in Oxford University of Oklahoma at the age of 90 in 2004. 3 years later, Nola went on to receive her master's degree, making her the oldest recipient of a master's degree at the age of 98 years old. On her 100th birthday, Nola started writing her first book. 100 before she wrote her first book. Nola Remembers, it was called. And then, as if she was some kind of kind of new competition in 2011. Leo Plas graduated at 99 years old with an associate's degree in Eastern Oregon University, setting the world record for the oldest man to get a college degree. It is clear that it's never too late to do anything. And my commitment is to be the oldest man to run 100 meters, which means I will have to live to at least 106 years old. And I'm only halfway there.